Hare Krishna everyone. So in last video we did talk about like basic how we can use record, right? But I'm going to talk about in this video like what is more feature and feature and in details basically how we can use it. Okay, so the first feature is record cannot extend other classes. So what does it mean? Okay, so let's first. So in previous video, right, we have seen here, right, we you have in Java 16 how we were using it, like a lot of things to do, and how we became a bit simple, right? We are seeing the record class as a person, right? And here is in the details. Okay, and how we can just simple run it. So if I can try to run this, then you will see, right? It's running at least hopefully. What is this? Release version 19 not supported module. Java feature is not compatible with Java 19. Upgrade to open project setting. Okay, so that's correct. Uh, so I think this is fine. Oh, okay. So I was something using Java and level. Okay, so apply run it. Okay, so indexing it. Okay, hopefully it will run this time. Oh yes, it's run now. Very good. So while you're doing something live, things not works, but thank God it's work now. So you see, right? We have things here like you printing like age, gender, and age again, right? So yeah, so no need to print two times. Okay. And if you see the person class, getting nice way, person, you have name, gender, age, correct? So things are now looks good. Okay. What is this suggesting? We don't care about it. Okay, now the next thing is saying record can extend other classes. So suppose let me create some class like a person belong to human class, correct? So if I say human, right? Human class, correct? Yeah, please add always. I will put into uh, GitHub repo, right? So that you guys can have a look at the class. Okay. And if I try to extend here, right? Extend the human class in person, correct? So let me try to extend here. Extend person. Now you see the compilation error. And what do you mean by compilation error? What is this error is saying? Cannot inherit from the final person. What does that mean? Person is final. So if you see here, right? Every class is extending the record class, and if you put something record is creating as a person as a final class. Okay, all right. So if I try to run, if I try to if I try to run, in command prompt. So if I say view tool appearance terminal, correct? And if I try to just compile Java C person, right, dot Java, you see the same error, right? What is error this saying is error is expecting braces, but it's not correct error. But here if you see it's not showing not something extending, not the nice way. But if you see here, right, it's saying the correct way, cannot inherit from the final person class. No, it should not person, it should be human, my bad. Okay, human. Okay, so uh, like here if you see no extend class allowed for the record. Okay, and if I try to run it, correct, you see the similar error we are getting. There is no challenge error. Okay, and the next thing is what the next feature is record or final. Okay, so that's why we are not able to extend is like record class is final, correct? So we can't extend it. Okay, record can implement multiple interfaces, right? Because there is no problem implementing the interfaces. So here if I say um, implements serializable, right? So there is no problem to doing that. Okay, so big okay, so there is no problem you can implement interfaces, all right. Okay, and then next feature is next feature is like record cannot create extra instance field. So what does that mean? So suppose if I want to create something here, right, in some instance field like private int height, right, height here. Okay, so if we are trying to create, what we are getting here is like instance field is not allowed in record, only static field is allowed, and the component of record are implicitly final. So I already showed you in the previous video, right, like it's by default a final, right, so we can't reassign it anything. Okay, so suppose if we want to change something, right, in that means I'm creating like public void. Suppose you want to change age, right, age. Okay, so you're saying the age, and then saying here is this dot age equal to age, right. So also this is not possible. Why? Because the person class is final and all the variable are final as well, so just simple is immutable, right, so it is not possible to you to do that. Okay, so so we have covered so far like record or final, record can implement interfaces, and record are implicitly final, record cannot create extra instance field. Okay, so we covered all those feature. Now we are going to talk about records can have a static field. Like for example, if I can say private static int count is equal to something, right, 10 or 20, you can say, right. So that this is possible, right, record can have a static field, that's not a problem, right. Okay, so yeah, that is also fine. And you can use those, as count as well, just calling the person dot and count, correct, that's not a problem. So for example, if I want to use this one in our class here, uh, here I want to call the person, how I can call the static field is simple dot person dot count, right. Okay, so look like, let me go to person class. So I'm saying private, right, so we need to create a public. That's how you're going to get access here, right. So here is fine, right, if you can run command shift or then you will see the 20 as well. Okay, and the static field, the next feature is static field method. Static field string slicer are also allowed. Okay, so let us see, let me come into person. So static method, right, so we can have a static method, that's not a problem, right. If I can say public static void, so yeah, count this count. Okay, so we can have here the static method, right, and we can say out count, right. So we, that is possible. Okay, we can use a static method and static initializer block. If I want to say count is equal to something like 50, correct, so we can initialize it, that's not a problem. And yeah, so these features, is supporting in record. And if I want to just run it, for example, person dot so count, right, so it will going to work. Cannot resolve method println. Okay, actually I'm calling in println method should not like that, as you're calling a method and returning nothing, and that will not make sense. Okay, so if I rerun it, you will see like 50 is coming up, right. So we covered the feature, like static method, static field, static initializer are allowed in record. What next? We can declare a constructor as well, right. If we want our record constructor do more than initializing its private field, we can define a custom constructor for records. However, unlike a class constructor, a record constructor does not have a formal parameter list. It is called a compact constructor. The primary reason to provide an explicit declaration of constructor method are not to validate constructor argument. Method are to validate the constructor argument basically, not, but it's validate the constructor. So how we can validate the constructor argument? So we are that's what we are saying, the compact constructor. Okay. So if we talk about this one, so how we going to declare? Okay, let's see. So what we are trying to do here, we can say um, here we are trying to say like public person. Okay, so this is our compact constructor. Okay, let me remove this one, not needed anymore. Okay. Okay, so if I say here like objects dot not require not null, right? Something if you don't want to require not null, we can say here, let's import it on enter. Okay, and you are saying require not null gender as well, right? Gender. Okay, and if I want to if you use like some constant want to put like age equal to or less than 0, then we are putting some validation, right, through illegal argument exception. Okay, and here we can say age must be greater than 0. Simple. Yeah, and suppose if I'm running a here, right? So what happened? What's problem? So it's we need to put semicolon. Okay, and if I want to put here age is 0. Okay, let's see what is happening. Is validation going to work? Yeah, it's working. Age must be greater than 0. So basically through the compact constructor, right, we can validate our fields. Oh, yeah, that's good feature. Okay, so we covered, we can declare the constructor. We can declare the constructor. What next? So the next feature is we can add explicit assessor. Okay, what does that mean? So suppose if I want to overwrite let me delete everything. Okay, so here what we want, if we want to do like public int age, and if I want to I'm trying to use the age, right? So if I want to do something explicit assessor, right, like return like age is less than 0, someone is passing 0, and then we can say 0 is less than 0, then return the 0, otherwise age. Okay, so we can explicitly declare it, right? Suppose for example if someone is passing like age less than minus like 0, like suppose -10, correct? So we can initialize it simple 0, because age can't be minus, right? So here if you see, we can explicit assessor, we are providing extra. Next feature is extra instance method are allowed. What does that mean? So we can have a extra instance method, something like suppose I want to have some method, mm, and other than this attribute related method, like suppose I want to say public wide print name, right? So something you want to do that, like extra method you want, you can do that, basically shout name, correct? Okay, so that is possible, like you can do that, create extra instance method as well. What next? Like nested record are allowed, basically like in suppose if you have some classes and if you want to nested that class inside suppose if I have top class, right, then you can also create inside that class record class as well. Like for example Suppose I have some parent class here. Hmm. So this one you can call it later on. So suppose I have a class, so here uh, class uh, class public class my class, right? Under this class you can have this class as well, so that's not a problem, right? So this is also supporting. What's error is here is rename. If you rename this error, it should go away. Okay, extra classes we have. Okay, so there is one related problem because this is coming, inside is coming from the parent class. Okay, so yeah, we can use parent class my class dot person, right? Oh, again person. Okay, so similar way, right? You can do that as well, like nested record are allowed. Okay, and you can get more details about your person class, like top level class as well, through the person dot class that get into close class, right? It will print your parent class as well. Okay, and what next? Like we can so I think, so this is big covered. Generic is also allowed, generic record are also allowed in record. Okay, so let me go to record class. Okay, so if I come here, uh, my class, let me remove this one and rename it again. Okay, so if I, let me remove this one as well. And if you see one problem here, because we are saying my class start here, so remove this one. Okay, so if you want to support the generic, right, we can also support the generic as well. So if I'm trying to say like simple, let's take one example. uh, so where is this person class? Suppose I want to create one more class here. Public, like simple, like a record line, right? mm, En, suppose I'm just saying n type, right? En extends number, right? And I'm just saying that is type of n and taking length as a value. Okay, yeah, so you can extend it, right? That is also supporting here. So suppose if I'm saying psvm and I'm trying to say line is a type of double, right? And yeah, I'm trying to pass the constructor something value 6.9, right? And if I say shout print line, right, it is also supporting. So let me run, see what I, so you see 6.9 is printing, so this is also supporting. And record can be annotated, right? You can annotate like using any annotation like deprecated as well. Like suppose if I want to say annotate here like deprecated, right? This is also supporting. So what else? And record cannot be abstract. So last feature I'm going to talk about is record is can't be extract. So if I say public abstract, abstract, so this is also not supporting. Why? If you see error, why are not allowed here? So because this is final, and we are not doing anything abstraction feature. So I think that's it for this one. And hopefully you like this video, and it's quite long, basically 20 minutes, and I was trying to cover everything. Hopefully, yeah, it's help you. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Hare Krishna.